Hey, I'm Duke on Twitch. If you want to support the channel and GreenSunsZenith.com, you can find my Patreon, merch store, and singles store where you can buy singles through TCG Player or Card Hoarder in the video description. If you want to get in contact, you can also find all that info in the description below for things like donation deck lists or just wanting to reach out. Alright, let's get right into it. Hey team, welcome back to Dukes on Twitch. Hope you're doing well. We are back with Legacy Lands. This is a list by Sprouts, a very good Legacy player, probably even beyond Legacy, but is playing a lot of lands recently, has been doing well with the deck, and I really enjoyed the deck. I think it's a great deck to learn sequencing and just a bit of patience. The only change that I've made from the last time is I added in an Echoing Deeps to the main deck. I think this card's really strong, especially with crop rotation, because you're able to do things where if your opponent, say, Wasteland's a Tabernacle, you can obviously crop away the Tabernacle and get a Echoing Deeps, which becomes a second copy of Tabernacle very quickly, which is really nice. And then, of course, it has a lot of interaction with any lands in your deck, which kind of gives you two copies. So things like Sejiri Steppe, Bojuka Bog, just having those, having the ability to get the effect without having to wait to loam it back, I think is really nice. So I'm really keen to test that out. And then we've just moved a Ghost Quarter to the board over the Ancient Tomb, which I saw Sprouts do for a recent league that I believe he 5-0'd. So very cool to see that. Hey, Alec, welcome. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, I think last time, probably the takeaways from the 3-2 were sequencing. Small things like rumbling first and then loaming, especially if you don't have the full 3 targets for loam, because obviously you're probably going to hit a few cards with rumble first and then loam. But just, yeah, small things. I think the thought that I had was that I was loaming back the land to play to then cast rumble, whereas it would have just been better to rumble first and then loam, especially because you do get that extra 1 mana from this, which is cool. The Grafdigger's Cage, I would say, is a meta call, especially right now. It seems pretty strong, but otherwise, I think the 60 could be played in any sort of meta game, and then you could adapt from there. I'm sure Needle will always have pretty decent targets, especially in matchups where your opponent's Wastelands are better than yours. I would say potentially Blue-Black Reanimator or Blue-Black Tempo that only have Wasteland and Brazen Borrower to deal with Marit Lage. If you can answer Wasteland, which obviously also keeps your Sagas alive, then you could have a pretty nice game that way. But also just some other small things like we'll run into them. We'll run into them. But I do really like the kind of 4-ofs in this list. Obviously, with a deck like Lands, we have a lot of tutorable effects. It's nice to see the consistency of 4 Yavimaya, 4 Saga, 4 Stage, 4 Depths, like the 3 copies of Boseiju just to make sure we have access to them. And then obviously all of our non-creature, non-land, non-artifact cards are 4-ofs. So 4 once, 4 rumble, 4 loam, 4 exploration, 4 crop, 4 mox. So I guess the mox are artifacts, but really nice just to see that consistency there, which is pretty cool. Twinshot Sniper is pretty interesting. This is in the sideboard, which I assume is for Magus of the Moon, the real card, because it can't be countered, which is nice. You can obviously cast it through a Blood Moon, which is cool. And then we also have the 2 Dismembers as well. But I should reach out to Sprouts and see if there's any reason for like Twinshot over the 3rd Dismember. But I assume because I'm actually not sure. Can we get it back with Rumble? Maybe that's it. That is probably it, because you can put it in your hand from a Rumble, which you can't with Dismember. So that is very cool. Hey, Blue Collar, welcome. Hope you're very well. Spyman, great to see you as well. But yeah, I think obviously Lands is a deck that you're going to get. I would say it's somewhat easy to play, but very hard to master. It's not one that's like really hard to play and then easy to master. So I think if you're a Wasteland player, a green player, you should know how to sequence with this deck pretty well, but there's obviously a lot to it. So very different to most decks as well, being mostly 30 lands and 30 non-lands. 30 lands and 30 non-lands, yeah. Which is pretty cool in its own right. It's very cool to have this sort of deck in Legacy. And you can get it off once as well. Yes, that's a great point with Sniper. Yeah, Flute seems really good. I'm not too sure what I want to be naming with Flute in different matchups. Like when I think of Flute, I think straight away to namesake decks, like Show and Tell or Doomsday, but I'm sure there's other matchups where it's like, yeah, it could be pretty good. A bit of an awkward hand with having some of our targets for Saga in our opening hand, which could be great, or they could just be, you know, Grafdigger's Cage might not be relevant, Pithing Needle might not be relevant. This hand doesn't have the greatest engine, so I think this is a pretty easy mulligan. I can't really see the plan from here. Like, it's probably trying to find a green source with the once. Yeah, I would love to try to find a hand with obviously Mox Diamond and Loam, but just a little bit more of a game plan than this. Okay, well, this is nice because straight up we have Yav, Dark Depths, and Stage, which is a natural turn 3 or turn 4 kill, which is pretty sweet. We also have Flute if we want it for Wasteland, which works really well into that. We have Crop Rotation if we really need it to answer something. So I kind of like keeping this and probably putting back the extra Yavimaya. The only way that the extra Yavimaya is relevant is if we do want to play, say, Yav into Stage. Turn 1, we would have open Crop Rotation. I guess, yeah. If we really wanted a second copy of Yav, we can get it off the crop if they are going to Wasteland us, because Wasteland is the main reason why we would want it. So I think we keep this and bottom the Yav. And there's nothing great that I really want to get access to on turn 1 that I don't think we have to once here. I think we can just play the Yav, hold up crop, and then pass. Dig a little bit deeper for the once. We can't get like an exploration of it. This is pretty interesting because we could be really aggressive and get it with Wasteland before they can tap it for mana, but I think we're pretty happy just allowing this. Petal, okay. Mox is a pretty fantastic draw. And this is really nice because now we get to use once to find the land to pitch to Mox while keeping the Dark Depths and Stage in play. It also allows us to hold up Crop Rotation and also Flute this turn, which is pretty sweet. So let's start with a once. I'm going to say in this matchup, we can probably take the Maze here and pitch that to Mox because the Flute's going to be turning off the Saga. So let's go take the Maze, play Mox, pitch Maze. Probably just play the Stage here, I think. And then I am just going to play the Flute right now. Is there any reason to do it in upkeep? I think I might as well do it upkeep. I mean, 1, 2. Yeah, so I guess what I could have done here as well is play the Dark Depths instead. And that way we also just have access to 3 mana, 1 for crop away the Yav, and then we have 2 mana left over for Stage, and then we can just turbo this turn. So maybe that's actually, yeah, incorrect. I think it actually is incorrect to play the Stage, because if we play the Depths, we would have had access to that line. Because we would have to crop away the Yavimaya for Depths, we wouldn't be able to tap the Depths for mana in this case. So definitely a small issue there. But yeah, I think that's a great lesson for sequencing with the deck, is just knowing like, what can you do? What are some of the more broken things you can do? Okay. This isn't too bad because we do have access to crop for Bojuka Bog, which is really nice. And if they are going to get Painter or Grindstone, that obviously gives away what they're on as well. I think the Engineer gives away that they're on Painter. But, okay. So thankfully here we can just pass back. Play the depths. And pass. They do need red mana. So I think here I'm happy to go for it before they can play any land. I don't think there's a world where they'll have access to... I guess Simian Spirit Guide gives them access to red land, get back the Servant, and then red Elemental Blast or Pyroblast, the land we target. So yeah, I think Needle off the Saga is the main thing to worry about. So I think there's no real bad line here of just going for it now. And then, of course, holding up Crop. And thankfully, like, Pithing Needle can't turn off the Mox Diamond. So they get a Grindstone. They have one floating. They're going to activate the Grindstone, probably hold priority here. Oh. I think they were meant to hold priority and change the Grindstone with the Servant. Yeah. But I do have the Crop there, so... Tough one for them, for sure. That's a really, really tough spot. So what do I like? I do like that we can combo typically faster than them. I think a card like Maze isn't that great. Probably Tabernacle as well. Tab could be interesting. Like they do play, what? 4 Welder, 4 Engineer, 4 Painter, Constructs, maybe Magus to the Moon. Obviously that doesn't matter with Tabernacle, but I think the Forces are great and the Twinshot Sniper is great. Like, I don't think we want to have too many flutes, but I do like having those. Grafdigger's Cage is interesting. One thing in this sort of matchup is that we do have to think about their welders because they can target us. So if we have something like a Mox Diamond in the bin and a Pithing Needle in play, they can switch those as well. I probably like the needles more than the flutes. Just because they come down a little bit earlier and they pretty much do the same thing, but they obviously leave us with an extra mana around, which is nice. The Sejiri Steppe is interesting because it's really, when I think of like a bounce effect, I think of Dead Gone, but I'm not too sure if they'll be playing Dead Gone, so I think 27 lands with the 4 Mox in is fine. Obviously the Boseijus are fantastic. Saga's great, especially with the new Blood Moon effect. Definitely a tricky one. I think the 3 Forces and the Twinshot are where I want to be. Could be the Cage. Cage is nice because it's kind of a Pithing Needle effect for Welder and Engineer for non-creatures, but maybe it's not enough. Maybe like the extra needle is just better than the Cage. So I think we'll start off with this and see how it rolls. Okay. This is quite nice as we have a turn 1 Saga into Mox Pitch Bog into Rumble. We also have a Force if needed, which I probably wouldn't mind popping the Exploration for, but has Disruptor Flute as well, which is great. How aggressive do I want to be on that Saga? To me, this gives away that they have an Ancient Tomb effect. I think we are just going to go Mox, pitch the Bog, play the Saga, Rumble. Okay. Probably stage here just because it taps for mana. And then I honestly wouldn't mind just trading the Force in the Exploration for their Saga, which is pretty aggressive. But I think because we have the Flute, that pretty much answers anything else as well. And now we can go with a pretty good beatdown plan of Saga. I think now we just hold up. Well, we actually have Dark Depths because of the token. We have access to 2 mana plus stage plus crop rotation. That's pretty absurd. So I think we're just going to run at instant speed and see if we can crop away this Saga. I think here, just in case they do run Spirit Guide. Wow. Wow. Really interesting. Very cool how much Rumble there gave us not just the stage, but also the additional mana to be able to go off early. That is very cool. I think small things like that. Like, I think that if I was playing not as patient as I sometimes do, I wouldn't have just noticed that line. I would have probably thought more about the Saga and tunneled into getting value off the Saga. But who needs value off the Saga when you can get a 2020 token? So we do have a copy of Echoing Deeps. Sprouts doesn't run it, and I assume there's a reason why. But as a player who's played Depths and has played with Echoing Deeps as a tutor target, I really love it. So I did want to try it out this game because I think it's just a little bit quicker than Loam sometimes. And it's just a nice way to turn crop rotation into like a semi-Loam 5 to 8. But potentially it's because it relies on the graveyard. It's just another card that post-board does get hated out quite easily, especially with the current metagame targeting a fair amount of graveyard decks. I'll actually see if I can get an answer from them because they did reply to my tweet. What do we have here? We have a pretty nice hand in that we have turn 1 Exploration. We have the Loam as well. Obviously, Mox Diamond would be pretty fantastic, but we have Cage if it's relevant. If not, it's not the end of the world. And then we have Flute. So pretty happy to keep this. It's nice to have both Exploration and Loam because one without the other isn't as great as it can be. Client on the graveyard. All right, the Ponder was, that's a fantastic draw. Skips the draw step, declines to use. Okay, so they didn't shuffle. So let's go Yav into Exploration. Force. Force Pitch Brainstorm. So it doesn't give away too much, but I would assume this is going to be potentially a control deck that might not be playing Prismatic Ending, or at least they don't have one in hand. And they might also think about lands in that if they aren't forcing the exploration, what are they forcing? Because there aren't too many other great sort of targets. Strix. This could be ninjas. That makes a fair bit of sense with the Baleful Strix. So I wonder here if we just want to go stage into Flute on Wasteland. And then we have Dark Depths open. I don't mind that. The basics and the Strix give away to me that it's going to be some sort of ninjas deck. So Wasteland on the Flute. We then have Needle. I guess we can't Needle Brazen Burrower, but we can find the other Flute potentially. Interesting. Okay. I'm pretty happy to play the depths here because we have the Loam as well. Okay. Bottom another land. Bowmaster. Okay. So their only cantrip was a Ponder before we played anything. So they don't actually know that we're on lands, which is great. They keep back the Strix, which is really interesting because that obviously shows me that they don't have an answer to the Dark Depths. Which could also be a bit of a bait. Like if we do create it just to block 1 damage, then they could have a sorcery speed way to bounce it. Like honestly, it could be Jace bounce as an out, but obviously not here. So we will go for it. This could also just be like a Grixis control deck. Keep this one. We do now have Sejiri Steppe as an out here, if we do get to go to our turn. Okay. Exploration's pretty interesting. So there's no way for us to do anything pre-combat, find step, and put it into play. So I think here we just attack first and see what happens. Because if they block with the Strix or if they do some sort of bounce effect, we might just want to loam back the pieces. So we are definitely playing the Wasteland. And then I think we're just loaming back both. Because then next time we get to play Exploration, play both, and then we just have the combo up because green mana, stage. Wow. Interesting. Okay, so they didn't have a great way to block the Lage outside of Strix. So I would assume this deck might play a piece of sack removal, potentially one piece of bounce like a Brazen Borrower. Interesting. I don't mind the Ghost Quarter in this matchup over the 4th Wasteland. Especially seeing those early basics. There's not too much else that I really care about. Like this probably isn't a Grafdigger's Cage matchup. The Endurance is just another way to potentially win. Is a little interesting. I would say any sort of Grixis control matchup is probably heavily favored for lands, as you would have seen in the final that Jarvis won many years ago, sadly, but lands are still around. Maze of Ith, I think in this matchup, there's just so many X1s that it probably isn't where we want to be. I'm moving more towards it being a Grixis deck than Kaito. Kaito is very interesting. I wonder if I want multiple needles for that. I don't think so. I think the flutes and the needle are fine. Yeah. They probably run Barrogoyf. Yeah, that's a really good point. I think we just probably run it back with that small change of Ghost Quarter. Like, I don't think... Maybe the Dismember. Maybe Dismember over Maze of Ith. Just because it could potentially hit a Barrogoyf. If it's small enough, it could potentially get a Baleful Strix out of the way if that's their main way to deal with the 2020. If they're a Leyline deck, we still have the Boseijus, which is really nice. I haven't played with Boseiju as much as probably some people, but it is pretty absurd how it comes as an untapped green source, but it also has just that ability that you can't really get away from. Okay, so this is a 3-lander with a Loam, but no Exploration or Mox Diamond start. And obviously the onces can't find either Mox Diamond or once, where I feel like this is probably a hand where you probably just stumble a little bit too much and you give Grixis time to set up. So I'm pretty happy to mulligan this towards a hand that has a bit more of a plan. This is better. I mean, here we go. Mox Diamond with Loam, which is great, and Rumble. So I think here I'm probably happy to put back the Tabernacle, and then we have Saga as our way to try to win this. So... yeah, I think it's funny. I think some people would look at it as like, you're not really sideboarding, so you don't really know what you're doing, which is fair enough. I don't. But there's also like, I don't want to change too much because if I bring in cards just in case they might have like a one of something, then it obviously dilutes what the deck's doing. And I think lands already has a pretty solid grasp on what to do. I guess Boseiju is also just a nice little out for Baleful Strix, which is nice. So here, we're definitely playing the turn 1 Saga. And then Mox probably pitching Boseiju. Yav into Rumble. Or Loam just to get them back. I could see our opponent playing either Leyline or Nihil's Spellbomb. So maybe getting the value back as soon as I can. But then again, Rumble putting more lands into the bin's nice. I think it's going to be Rumble. Potentially that token creature could save us from something like a Sheoldred's Edict, which I believe is the one that makes you sacrifice a non-token creature. So that's why I really like a deck with Marit Lage to also have other token abilities like Rumble or Urza Saga. Sewers put a card on top. All right, I don't think they're a Daze deck, and I don't think it really matters how we sequence this, but we are going to go Saga first. We do want to get that online as soon as possible. We do have the Mox. To probably just pitch the Echoing Deeps here. Because next turn, we want to Rumble, and then we'll have access to mana. One small note about Echoing Deeps as well is that you don't have to have it come into play as a copy of a land, and that way you can have it pretty much come in as a waste, an untapped source of mana, which I didn't realize, and then it actually really helped when I wanted to get a Saga online, and I didn't know that I could just play it as a land that could tap for colorless. We have a lot of time here, so I think the Yav is pretty incredible. The Echoing Deeps is nice. It's just if we rumble or loam something and want that effect straight away. I think for now it's the Boseiju. And then we just want to rumble first, get some lands in the bin for loam. Pick up, ooh, an exploration, that's pretty nice. And then pass. Next time we get to play exploration, hold up, make a token. The loam getting back double Boseiju Ghost Court is kind of cool. Just a pass. Okay. Am I happy here with just playing the forest? I guess we get to go. I do want it to make a token. Maybe I start like, yeah, okay, let's go forest, exploration. Play the Yav. Pass with a mana open. Okay. So here we get to keep the token around with the Saga, which is quite nice because it means that a sacrifice effect won't kill the construct. I wonder if they play Colligan's Command. I haven't seen it as much as I did 6 years ago, but it would be pretty nice here. Probably deal with the Mox, take out the construct. Wow. Mox is pretty nice. I will just make a token here. Hey, surely it's Brad. Welcome. I wonder if they have like a agent. Ooh, they might. Okay. That's not too bad. I wonder what they take. Maybe a needle? Probably a needle named Stage. I could see that. But at least here we get to go Mox Diamond, pitch the Echoing Deeps, loam back, Ghost Quarter, Echoing Deeps, Boseiju. And then the construct's also a 4/4. And then we also get to play the Echoing Deeps as a copy of the Saga that just left. Nice. Yes, let's go Mox. Ah, no, I have to pitch the deal. No, I didn't need to, did I? Yeah, sorry. That's a mistake. I should have got rid of the token here and done this first. Yeah. Yeah, because I guess now I can actually just get back the Saga. And play the Saga. Surgical. Okay. One small thing here is that Echoing Deeps, there isn't really an ability for your opponent to do anything once you name something. It comes into play as a copy of. So your opponent has to do surgical, like say an upkeep or draw step before you actually play the Echoing Deeps. So I think potentially there, just to think about a little bit more about what they would have sideboarded in, potentially thinking about Surgical, I should have just played Deeps, copied the Saga, and then tried to loam it back, and then I already have a copy of Saga in play, which they can't, of course, remove with Surgical. So small things there that definitely add up. I can also take them off red here, because I believe they won't have a mountain in the deck. They will have an island, I assume. Oh, they do, okay. Well, that's good to know. Also bring this up here. But yeah, small things. Needle is going to be fine. I can only assume it's going to be Thespian stage. Could be Boseiju, but like Boseiju can't get, it means we can't get rid of the needle, but then also it just leaves stage out there in the dark, so I can see why this happens. But the agent here is a little bit awkward because it can't attack into a 4/4 unless you have removal for the other one. And it can't really block either. So it is turning off search, but not in a great way. All right. So I'm going to play the deeps here to get that copy of stage straight away. And then I'm happy to loam back Boseiju stage Ghost Quarter. Nice. And now we can play the Ghost Quarter. I want to go after their mana a little bit more. Petty Theft. Okay. There's a 3/3. I mean, Petty Theft being used on a construct is much better than them having it for, say, a Marilage. I don't think there's a way here that I can make it into a bigger creature. So I think we're just going to allow this. I don't mind taking them off red here. I assume they have an island left. And then passing with Boseiju open. I might even Boseiju just now before they get the shuffle off, like just in case they need it for the shuffle of the Brainstorm. There's a world where they get Brainstorm locked and then the shuffle actually helps them. So if we are going to do it, we might as well do it now. We also brought in the Endurance. So we can Endurance ourselves to get things back like the Boots or the Needle if we really want to. We can also do 6 here. Oh, so they don't find a shuffle effect. Nice. So that's the exact reason why we would want to go for that. We do want a Loam here. We hit a Wasteland, which is quite nice. So let's go Loam back Wasteland, Ghost Quarter, Boseiju. Two black. Interesting. One black. One blue. Snap into surgical. Okay. I wonder what they take, because obviously Wasteland's a nice 1-for-1, but Ghost Quarter can get out of hand pretty quickly. Especially with the exploration and the loam going. They're going to go after Ghost Quarter, which is nice for us because it's just a one-of. All right, let's play the Wasteland and take them off. It could actually be the second blue source rather than the red source because of the Brazen Borrower. Play another stage. I think what I should have done there as well is actually use a stage to copy Wasteland to have one in play. Because the stages here aren't doing anything anyway. So, yeah. They could bring in Meltdown. That's probably a card to think about with the red source. Hey Gimpy, a huge thank you for the Prime sub. Hope you're doing well. Let me know if you play Legacy, if you have a local scene, what it's like. But yeah, small things again. Just a little bit of rushing where I did think about copying Wasteland with stage before I activate Wasteland, and I obviously should have, but here we are. Mostly Modern and Commander. Pretty good scene here in MN. MN. I'm going to say Minnesota. Is that MN? MN. Minnesota. Nice. Okay, we will Loam, of course. There's a stop on draw step. Interesting. Maybe I shouldn't have taken out the Maze of Ith. Oh, okay. Cool. Loam back these. Nice. Wasteland. And then let's copy Wasteland. With the Badlands. They float a red. Red, black, blue. Interesting. Maybe Colligan's Command? Get back the agent? It is. Wow. We don't need to float any mana here. I will play a Boseiju. Just gives us a little bit more mana. I assume as well they have no basics left, so with the Wasteland, each dual land is just going to be a Lotus Petal effect, essentially. Nice. All right, Loam. There's a Dark Depths. Depths, Wasteland. Wasteland? Nice. Play Depths. Play Wasteland. Pass. They play the Badlands. Interesting. They go to combat. I think in combat, I'm going to Wasteland the Badlands. Just so they can't use it second main. And if they put in the opposition agent, then... This is actually pretty cool because if they want to use the mana for opposition agent, they'll have to use it before we go to blocks. Price of Progress. I don't care about this, but... Tough. Fixes. So here, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I think we can just take it. Yeah, I don't think it matters too much, thankfully. Yeah, so obviously there we can get rid of at least 4 because we can make the Dark Depths, which gets rid of Dark Depths and stage, and then even Wasteland ourselves if we really cared about it. But thankfully just really tough for Grixis. Nice. I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick. I'll be back in a second. If you're not already following the channel, definitely consider it. You can also find me on YouTube as well over here where I do have some YouTube exclusive content in the mix, which I've been saying for a long time, but I really do have now. So yeah, I'll be back in just a minute. All right, it's also pretty cold. I'm gonna get a jumper. I'll be back. Nice. Let's do this. Yo, yo. Good morning from Germany. Welcome. Hope you're doing very well. I was in Germany end of last year. We went to Munich, really enjoyed Munich. And Frankfurt? Flew into Frankfurt. I believe Frankfurt is one of the closest airports in Europe to Australia. So nice and easy to get there. But Germany's beautiful. Would love to live in Germany one day. Especially Munich. That massive park in the middle of the city is pretty unreal. And you guys surf there 365 days a year. All right, Splev. Triple Loam. No way to accelerate, unfortunately. Just a little bit awkward with the mana, so a pretty easy mulligan decision here. Such cool artwork as well. The more you look at it, the more you realize what it actually is. But to be fair, the Magic Online artwork is pretty exceptional as well. I believe there's a playmat for it. This one, which is, yeah, obviously really nice. We will mulligan this. We'll keep this. This is pretty nice. Yeah, like it has turn 1 Rumble, which I don't mind. It doesn't have Loam or Exploration though. So, there's a secret layer. Very cool. Okay. Thank you, Panda. Honestly, like, this is obviously a 6. So I think we would bottom the cage, but it doesn't really have much other than Acceleration. I think there is a better 5 because what we're looking for is 2 lands and then either Mox or Exploration and Loam. So I think we're happy to mulligan this. A little bit greedy and we do get called out for it, unfortunately. But I don't think there's a better 4. The tough thing is that Loam is like a draw 3, so. Every German who isn't living in Munich hates Munich. That's quite funny. This very tough. Okay, we're gonna bottom the 2 of these and just hope something sticks. But it's gonna be tricky. Ooh, okay. Interesting. I'm pretty happy to Wasteland that and kind of reset the game. Potentially give us a Once Upon a Time off the top. But I can only assume this is mono red, which makes me really just want to go after their mana. And then maybe just find a world where we can get there. Oh, okay. I think Saga first. Just because if they are going all in on a Blood Moon effect, getting that to 2 at least would be pretty sweet. This also gets us closer to Mox Diamond. So I think even though we don't get the constructs off it, what it turns into potentially is what we want. Okay. All right. We will play the boots out. And then, oh, wow, they're going to concede. Interesting. So obviously they're mulliganed pretty aggressively, but we just were lucky enough to get both Wastelands and 2 lands on their side. But yeah, I just feel like we still need a bit of time to set up. Like next turn we untap with 2 mana, we float 1, and we either get, I think we'd actually go for Expedition Map to go and find depths, which then we would have 2 mana to actually find depths, play a land, but then other than like Yavimaya off the top, I guess Yavimaya or Green Source off the top allows us to crop, to actually go for it and boots as well. But yeah, tricky one for them. Straight away, I think of the Force of Vigors, and I think of the Dismembers, and also the Twinshot Sniper. Like the Flutes and Needles are probably maybes as well. They went over here. But obviously, again, I don't want to sideboard too much. I think I really want to think about what are they doing to stop Dark Depths and how can I stop that? So I think of Magus of the Moon, which obviously is the Dismembers and the Twin Shots. I think of Blood Moon, which is Force of Vigor. One Ring, I think, is a great card to stop in either Flute or Needle. I don't think this is a Maze of Ith matchup or a Bojuka Bog matchup. The Tabernacle, I don't mind, but probably more so in the older versions with the goblins that go wide. So I think Tab could probably even come out. Sejiri Steppe for Dead Gone, I don't mind as just a potential. We don't need the Grafdigger's Cage. The only way that it might interact is if they play Initiative, and that stops the last bit of Initiative. The Needles still seem okay. Maybe the extra flutes are a little bit too much. But I do like this. So where do we cut? 3 and 3 seems fine. We do have Boseiju, so maybe like we don't need all forces. Ah, that's very true, yeah. Pyrogo is pretty interesting. Maybe just an extra creature, I wouldn't mind. Also like a way to fight off Pyrogo potentially. I do want to be fast, so the crops and mocks make sense. The rumbles are still nice because they work off 1 green and can find the twin shots. Maybe it's like just 2 Force of Vigors because we have the Boseijus. Maybe the endurance is a little bit left field. Loam seems nice, but it's not the be-all and end-all. 1 more card. It could just be a Rumble. A little bit tricky. Maybe Rumble's one of the best cards in the matchup because it finds Twin Shot as well, but I guess we'll see. One plan is if they do go for a Blood Moon effect, we want to get a Dark Depths into play before we remove the Blood Moon effect. So that's where the Dismembers and the Force of Vigors really help. Okay. This has a Loam and a Needle and a Wasteland. It doesn't do a whole lot against an early Moon effect, which is tough. Because once can find Sniper, but that's it. I think in the blind, this hand is pretty good, but against mono red, probably not. because a turn 1 Moon is a great way for them to win. Or even a turn 1 Chalice, which does stop the Needle, but not a whole lot more. I think I'm happy to see where a 6 lies. With one piece of like Force or Dismember would be great. No. Okay. Very similar to the other hand, which I think just isn't good enough. Okay. Tricky. So we don't have a green source to start with, which is tough. We're currently on 5. The double crop could just get there, and we do have Flute to interact with the ring, which is nice. Four is a little bit rough, so I think we will... The plan here is probably to get Depths into play when a Blood Moon effect is in play and then try to remove that piece. So potentially there is a 4 that's actually just better than this, which is like Depths, another land, Dismember, or Depths land, Force, green card. So if we kept this, we play the Depth, we probably once first. Yeah, I think we get rid of Loam and potentially 1 crop. Yeah. Yeah, maybe the first 7. Maybe it's just a case of don't worry too much about them and just play your hand. Spirit Guide, Blood Moon. Okay. So thankfully here, Force of Vigor is pretty good. And we can also play the Depths first if we really want to. Ooh. Can't cast that, but it's nice to have. Okay, more graveyard hate we don't really care about. Mox is pretty nice. Mox is very nice as it allows us to deal with the Blood Moon with the Depths in play. So let's go play Depths. Sorry, play Mox, pitch the Step, hold up Boseiju. Okay. So they have to have Dead Gone. Interesting. Yeah. Nothing they can really do there. Very cool. Yeah, Mock's really strong there. Yeah, it's tough. I feel like that opening hand just doesn't really have enough against Blood Moon. Like, we'd have to be pretty lucky with the once finding a basic. Or Tuz. No green source, sadly. Otherwise, pretty deep, pretty cool hand, I feel. But that is all good. We'll mulligan this. Okay. This does have Loam, which is nice. It doesn't have a green source, but potentially off the once we can hit. So I think I'm pretty happy to keep this. And probably bottom the Bog. I think the Bog I'd rather just have as a tutor effect. Well, to be correct, I could be wrong about the keep, and I just, you know, fortunately got there. But I do definitely appreciate people being like, hey, you probably could have kept that, or here's the reasoning as to why, because there's definitely things that I miss. I swapped the Ghost Quarter to the sideboard, and then I didn't play the Ancient Tomb in the sideboard, which I think is what Sprouts did on their most recent list. All right, let's once first. I wouldn't even mind finding a Tabernacle. I actually like the Wasteland here. I feel like this sort of matchup, their mana could be a little bit rough. More time for us to find Mox Diamond. I could find a green source here off the trop. That's kind of interesting. That's actually pretty cool. I think we will. I think we'll get the green source going. So I think that's how we lose the game, is that we just don't turn on these 3 cards. I'm pretty happy to rumble here. Try to find an exploration. No, we do find a Moxen. That's pretty nice. Flute's pretty interesting as well, because if they're like if they're a Nadu deck, then being able to turn that off is obviously quite nice. But being able to wasteland them out as well with the Loams is kind of cool. I think it might just be Flute. I think it's a case of we don't want to die to their stuff. I feel like they might have waited one turn to be able to play, say, Shuko and Nadu in the same turn, or Nadu and Nomads. So maybe the Flute doesn't do enough. Let's go with the Mox. And then I can play the Mox here. Discard, say, Boseiju. And then I can also Loam this turn. That's pretty neat. Get back the Wasteland. Unless they force it. Okay. That's not too bad. I feel like that's a pretty good sign for us. Keep. Okay. We will Loam. There's a stage, which is pretty interesting. Get back. Wasteland, stage, Boseiju. I don't want to 6 here. I guess we can 6 because we can't have crop rotation if the Teferi's up. Ooh, holding up 4 mana. I want to draw here. Nice. I think it's stage. I think it's stage and then just try to go for depths next turn with boots equipped. So it looks to be a pretty classic Bant list. Cubs are pretty cool. Okay. I think we just want to draw here. I think the plan is get boots with the Saga, play the depths, make the 2020, attack, and then maybe even see if we can crop for Tabernacle. We want to draw. Okay. Flute one. Ah, the boots are in the bin. Oh. I guess then we map. And we use map. to get Tab. Play a Wasteland. Take them off a land. Crop one away. Oh, I didn't play the Tab, did I? I played the Wasteland. Ah, I thought it put it into play. Of course it doesn't. Yes. That's on me. I don't think it matters too much. But that's definitely, yeah. I feel like Expedition Map putting the land into play would be a little bit too good. I think for this matchup, I like the Dismembers. Not too sure what else. Dismember seems fine. Potentially the Flutes and Needle. Like I don't think Maze or Bog is going to be doing us enough. Grafdigger's Cage seems great against like the GreenSunsZenith deck. Maybe I don't want too many flutes. Crop, Exploration, Loam. Yeah, I really don't want to stray away too much from like our classic mana denial strategy because I think that's where I want to be. Like maybe the Ghost Quarter. Sorry, the Ghost Quarter is worth it. Maybe like 2 Flute, 2 Needle is enough. Like I think Otawara is just a little bit too far-fetched. That's 28 lands, which I think is more than fine. It could just be a Boseiju. Not too much. We didn't see a Saga plan from them. This does have like Wasteland, Dismember their first opening, but then like not much after that. Like it does have Crop to find, but no green source, no Loam, no Exploration, so. Ask for Exploration and you shall get. This will be a 5. Okay. Okay, like we do have bottom, and we do just have like hold up Yav, play Tab, play like try to go for the combo win. Yeah, the 7 was I find it very tough to keep the non-green hands without green because the deck does have a bit of an issue with mana. Like on this start, the Wasteland isn't doing anything, the Dismember's not doing anything, so that's a little awkward. Okay, I don't mind that getting Saga into play. Tapping for mana under Yavimaya is really nice. No green mana from them. I guess they do because of the Yav. Interesting. I think here we're pretty happy just to play it pretty fair. Okay. Go and get the boots. I'm just going to Wasteland them. They didn't play a land last turn, but they kept the Ponder. Which means if they tap out this turn, we can just play stage, make the 20/20, and equip and swing. Like, even with this open, I don't think there's anything that they can have. So we don't want to pay. Land. Three green. Copy this. Keep this version. Equip the boots. Force. Okay. That is something. Getting rid of a Scythecat cub. And thankfully, because this is indestructible, we don't have to pay for Tabernacle. They must have something. Three mana with flash. Ah, endurance. Okay. That's fine. That's a good reason not to rumble first as well. I think Wasteland here is probably the best find. No, but we do find a depths. Okay. Play this. Attack. XJ, welcome. Hope you're well, John. Currently fighting the fair fight against the bird. I think it's worth just having unknown cards in hand rather than playing out the Mox Diamond. Thankfully, the depths in play means Teferi isn't an out. I guess maybe the reason to play the Mox is that you can Boseiju. I guess we can still Boseiju for 1, which is nice. So we could Boseiju and also make a token. 4 mana. Green Suns for 3. Okay. We could make another 2020 here and get 2 copies. Definitely buying time. Come on, Sejiri Steppe or Crop Rotation. 2 cards we'd love to see. Wasteland. That does take them off white, so happy to attack first. White takes them off Salt to Plowshares, of course. And then even if they have like a Karakas, we do have access to Boseiju and then create another one. There we go. Turn 9. Lovely. I don't think we changed anything. Like, I think the 2 flutes and the 2 needles are a nice mix. Don't really care about the graveyard. Red's a little bit like hard to get online for this. We don't really care about their graveyard as well, or ours. Forces, they aren't playing Saga, so. And then I think there's none of these that we really care about. Hey, Ramar. Yeah, could definitely copy the Wasteland. That's a good point. I was thinking of like, if we copy the Wasteland, then we can't hold up creating a token if they do like white source to fairy bounce. We can't make another one and attack through the following turn. But a good point. Earlier on, we did want to copy the Wasteland and we didn't. And we should have definitely thought about it. I tried so hard and I got so far, but in the end, it didn't even matter. Fantastic song. Karakas is tough because I think like them drawing a card is pretty brutal. We do have something like turn 1 like crop into Tabernacle, and then we have the Wasteland to follow it up. We also just have like crop into Dark Depths down the line. This does have a Loam and a Flute if we want it. It's just tough because there's no Mox, there's no Exploration, but there is a Loam. Last game was Island Ponder off the start, so obviously that sort of kind of tracks our ability to Boseiju into. I'm going to see how it goes. There's a lot of good draws off the top. Obviously, Mox Diamond would be a great draw. Once Upon a Time wouldn't be too bad. Maybe give us a bit more information about the crop rotation. It's going to be another Island Ponder. Okay. The Tomb in the sideboard is a nice sort of tech because it allows you to turn 1 Flute. It's also just another way to be able to combo off without getting Yavimaya into play. Well, there's the Mox, which is really nice. So let's play stage. Let's play Mox. Let's get rid of Boseiju. I think fluting in the blind here, there's just too many things to go after. I also don't mind flute onto Faerie in response to a Teferi. So that might be the play next turn. Unless they play a non-basic, like fetch non-basic Delighted Halfling. Oh, still no fetch. Prismatic. Interesting. Didn't think about Prismatic too much. I think here I'm happy to draw into like Exploration. That'd be pretty cool. Graph Cage isn't too bad either, because we get to go Wasteland them, play Graph Cage. I don't believe they're a Daze deck, so I'm not playing around Daze, but nice to be able to turn off Green Suns. I think one more turn. No, let's Loam. Wasteland, Dismember. Guess we're getting back the 3 Wastelands. Okay. I don't want to Loam here. I want to try to draw into something. So I think you were happy just to probably pass and then Wasteland and upkeep, holding up Crop or Flute. Just to be able to stop them from like the turn where they go Nadu and Nomads. Okay. So they can't Endurance, which is nice. The question is, to be good with my mana, I could Flute here, but I think we just want to go for once. Finding a Depths would be really nice. Guess we take it. Still no Loam. Tab's pretty cool, especially for them to not know about. They float blue. Okay. I think, yeah. Yeah. I think end step will just Flute and name it. Because this does stop activated abilities. Cool. Nomads in core. No Loam. Wasteland. Take him off white. Nice. I think because it's a Mox Diamond, it's an Exploration, it's a non-creature spell that would like really get me back in the game. I'm pretty happy here just to not Loam and try to hit something really good like that. So they have 3 cards left. I'm probably happy to play the Yav and then try to stick a Crop next turn. This kind of feels like Endurance. which is fine. That's like one less card I have to worry about. So now they just have 2 cards. Target us. There goes the Loam. That's fine. Karakas is in the bin. There is a white source. Attack with both. Sure. Crop this away. Fetch. Huh. It's like Avon Mind Sensor? No. Okay. Get depths. But here, because they fetch, they obviously have swords, and we're not on... There's no real pressure. So we get to untap and hold up Sejiri Steppe, which is still in the deck, I think. Yes, it is. So I think here we're just going to pass. Untap, draw, play Boseiju. Oh. I guess we can also play the tab, which is quite nice because then we still get to Dark Depths and Crop and also tax their mana. So it might even keep them off playing another Endurance or being able to cantrip into something else. Or Force. Can't really do anything about that. I guess what I could do is if they don't use the Boseiju for mana. No, they do. They keep both. Okay. Interesting. They have 1 card left. No attacks. Okay. Green, green. Copy. They have 2 cards left. Keep this one. They allow us to untap. Wow. How greedy is it to try to go for Sejiri Steppe here? Oh, we find it. And you know what's really cool? This is actually pretty sweet. So we get to go Sejiri Steppe, see if we get protection, go pro white, and then crop it away for Echoing Deeps and copy it again to get pro green. So we go Sejiri Steppe, pro, see if they do anything. We go, maybe we go green first actually and attack, and then if they have the swords, because if they have Brazen Borrower, that's obviously something else to throw into the equation. So we go pro, green. Nice. Very cool. Yeah, so if you go pro white there first, they can then just block, of course. But if you go pro green, then they can't block, and so it puts it on them. And with 2 mana open, it's probably either Brazen Borrower or Bounce potentially, or most likely swords. And then you have the Echoing Deeps to go and get that, which is nice. All right. Oof. Cool game, so some good spread. Grixis, mono red, obviously Nadu just then. I'm trying to think of the other deck. Really tough. Grixis, mono red, Nadu. And let's have a good think. Oh, like, yeah, Grixis, mono red. Going for the marbles. Alec, what was the other match? We had Grixis, Mono Red, Nadu. How am I forgetting it already? Whoever remembers, I will give a MTGO code for 120 play points. A free league. Yeah. Oh, Painter. Painter. There we go. Free league on me, boys. Haha. Painter, Mono Red Stompy, Grixis, Nadu. But yeah, still a few things to work on, definitely, in terms of sequencing, taking my time. But yeah, can't be too unhappy. But yeah, Sprouts, Unreal player, has a Patreon with a free guide to lands as well. Definitely check it out. They've done a few matchups with sideboarding, but obviously, yeah, a great lands player. All right, Barnyard. Let's do this. Double exploration with Mox, but no engine, which is pretty tough. Because it doesn't have the engine, I'm pretty happy to mulligan this. Okay, this does. It has the Loam, which is great. So let's keep this and bottom the Sejiri Steppe. It gives us some nice outs to a few things. Windswept Ith. Okay. Once. Let's start with the ones. Oh. Tough. Okay, that happens. Play the Mox. Pitch. Bog. Play Boseiju. Get back Bog. Okay. Dress the Needle. Interesting. Okay. Oh. Nice. Oh, no. Of course. I thought the Loam was in our hand. That is quite funny. I guess if we dredge the Loam, we wouldn't draw the Mox Diamond, so. One, two, three. Play Wasteland. I think we're just going to pass an upkeep, hit their Mortuary. pretty happy to Loam here. Let's also pick this up. Put it here. Loam back these three. Play the Wasteland. And then potentially next turn we get to Wasteland, their Wasteland, their Wasteland us. We have the stage in play already, and then we just combo off. But it seems like potentially a deck with a sacrifice effect. So we will not Loam here. We want to try to find a spell. Nice. So there, obviously our opponent thought that if we Wasteland their Wasteland, they try to Wasteland us, we then just go for it. They don't have an out, so... we didn't see a whole lot there, to be honest. We did see Wasteland. We saw some basics. So like maybe the Ghost Quarter. Maybe the Endurance. I honestly could just see a run it back. I'm just trying to think if there is something that I'd like. That is a bit of an answer all, but not that we saw. Like maybe just the Endurance is just nice as another, like over the Otawara. Otawara a little bit tough to get online. You have to obviously rely on the Mox Diamonds or copying a land. But here we have Exploration, Rumble, and Once, plus the combo. So pretty happy to keep this. I believe they won't take the Once. There's probably better options here, so happy to see what they take. I think we're just going to go Stage Pass. Because I don't want to lose this green source to a Wasteland. And I don't need to Once just yet. Like maybe Once finding Endurance is what needs to happen. Interesting. Reanimate and Tomb. Okay, so they're going to be a graveyard deck. I think in that case we take the draw. Okay, that's pretty sweet. So now we want to Once. Probably just want the Saga. Not sure how good the Tabernacle is here. Tabernacle obviously gets them off the spawn token, but is that really relevant? Yeah, I think we go Mox pitch the tab. And then we go for Rumble. Try to find Endurance. No, we find another Saga. Okay. And then we'll just play this Saga. I guess I could have Rumbled again if we played the Yav. I think the fairies, if there is a game 3, would be quite good, because if they're on a Loam strategy, it's great there. And if they're also on some sort of reanimate strategy, then it's great there as well. Okay. That's not too bad because we now just have access to maybe crop rotation. Wasteland's pretty good. There could be like a Witherbloom deck as well. So many things to think about. Maybe I do just want to take them off the Bayou. But then we're not progressing. So I think it might actually be Yav, Rumble. There is an Endurance, which is nice. That gives us a bit of play against any graveyard shenanigans. They have 4 cards. Now they play a Loam. Marsh Flats, Windswept, Verdant. That is fine. I don't think we want to Loam. I guess if we Loam, we get a green card back for Endurance, which is nice. Yeah, I actually like that. We Loam, Mox, Depths, and Saga. Okay, so here we just want to play the Depths. And then I think just make it in their upkeep to play around Wasteland. There was a small part of me that wanted to respond to the fetch in case they run like Assassin's Trophy, but I don't think that's where they're going to be. They keep on top, so let's just make this now. Nice. Very cool. We lost 1 game to Nadu. We went 9-1. That feels really nice because I feel like I did take this league a little slower than typically, so that's very cool. Really, it's been a little while since a trophy, so that feels extra special, which is really nice. Very cool. Sorry, I didn't see your, sorry, how does that play around Wasteland? So in that matchup, there's 2 things to play around Wasteland. By making the token in their upkeep, it plays around Wasteland because they can't, of course, play it until their main phase. And if they do have a spell, then at least they use their mana on their turn. But then also if you have a Wasteland in play and they have a Wasteland in play, and you have the combo, you can Wasteland their Wasteland, which then makes them awkwardly maybe go after your Depths or your Stage, but then you can just make your token in response. And then you get your token, and then the Wasteland fizzles. There we go. Deck tech. Deck was sweet, honestly. I would say that because I've only had 2 leagues with it, I really can't say too much. If anything, like the Otawara a little bit has been awkward, being typically a green-white deck that, you know, you do have the Mox Diamonds to Otawara, but otherwise I don't think I've found a spot for it in my 10 games, which again is next to nothing. But the Echoing Deeps today did some nice work. I mean, it gave us a tropical island in our opponent's yard to give us a green source. It gave us the out of double Sejiri Steppe as well if we needed that, which is nice. But yeah, the deck just played really well. And it's really nice because I feel like this may sound really simple, but Wasteland is really the only interaction with lands in Legacy. If you're playing a creature deck, you obviously have Swords to Plowshares, Bolt, Fatal Push, Dismember, Snuff Outs, Solitude. There's so many answers to creatures. But with lands, if your opponent is a deck with 4 Wastelands and like a Brazen Borrower, then you can very easily Needle or Flute Wasteland. And then it's not too hard to play around Brazen Borrower with Sejiri Steppe in the deck. So I find that a lot of decks just don't have outs, especially once you start playing cards like Flute, like Needle to go after their outs. Like Nadu there having just block with creatures with reach or their own Nadus felt really good, but also a little bit scary because they can just untap and potentially go off. Yeah, it was nice. It was really good. So we played against Grixis 2-0, Nadu 2-1, Painter 2-0, Mono Red 2-0, and then I'm going to say like a green-black Depths, which is, yeah, pretty fortunate. But very cool. That was That was sweet. Yeah, the Rumble was really nice. Rumble being able to find... Like, Rumble is kind of like a one-term Loam, but you get to see non-land cards you can get back, like an Exploration or a Needle, etc., or a Mox Diamond, so that's really cool. Yeah, the Rumble was really sweet. I feel like there's a creature deck out there potentially that Rumble could be run in, like a Maverick/Lands deck, but haven't found it yet. But that is me. I'm going to go enjoy my Sunday. I'm going to see who else is streaming. Maybe... Oh, Haran is streaming, which is cool, so I'm going to send you over there. I'll be back pretty shortly, I think. I do have an article that I just want to finish and get out. But a huge thank you to all of you for coming and watching. Appreciate the raid. Sorry, appreciate the new subscribers, the new followers. This league will be up on YouTube probably in 2 days, so you can catch that there. But until then, have a great week. I'm going to quickly find out how to actually find the raid mechanic outside of the chat. /raid. I have a different box up. There we go. Enjoy.